What's going on, everyone? I said it again. I gotta, practice something before we start episodes. Can't just be shit talking with you guys. Hi.
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 Thank you, guys. Thank you. We are back with another episode. We did Amsterdam last week. We're moving forward with a lot of movies on the fall slate. We're going to try to get to as many as we can on a weekly basis. That means a lot of reviews coming your way. We're talking about Bros tonight, the first ever gay romantic comedy from a major studio to come out of Hollywood.
And I think before you say your catchphrase, you don't even need to say it. I'm going to tell you what I think.
Which catchphrase? I have so many on this show already.
What did you guys think?
Ben said it, so I'll go first. Ben, finish what you were going to say.
Well, like you said, the at first when I saw the titles for like what it was, I was like, wait, it's been like gay comedy, but all of the specifics, it does tie in to the movie itself, which is sort of making fun of the extended adjectives to describe gay things, or anything in the LGBTQ community. And I thought it was pretty clever. I really enjoyed the movie. I really enjoyed the sarcastic, writing, just the way that it. I know Ryan Johnson's probably going to love me for this, but the subversion of expectations. It really takes a lot of classic rom-com sort of storylines, shots. I especially think of like one of my favorite shots was the when he says like, "Wait, Bobby," and then it cuts to them, back in the apartment, and it's just them, and then zooms out, and it's the other two guys that he was originally going to have sex with. They do so many great jobs with the writing, the shots, to subvert your expectations, but based on what you'd expect from a rom-com. And that, says in the beginning, it's not a typical, romance. That they're gay people. They have different sex lives. They have different lives. They're different people. So of course, it felt like a more honest and in tune movie to the LGBTQ community that I've seen in a long time.
I want to ask you a question here, Ben, because when we first talked about doing this movie on the show, you said, "Oh, it's a Nicholas Stoller movie." I don't know about that. What did you think about this compared to what else you've seen from him?
To be honest, it's way better than most of his other stuff. I still don't like Nicholas Stoller, and there were some moments of the directing that I did appreciate, but I have to appreciate the most is the writing. The writing was the best part of this movie. It was written very, very well, and that has to go.
I think with the writing, you get a lot of the strength because Billy Eichner is writing for himself. And he knows what works for his style of comedy, and his style of comedy is very funny.
But it also was written well for the other people too. There was the straight man. There was the bi man who was I forget the
it's Jim Rash.
His name. Yeah, from Community.
Jim Rash.
Yeah.
Jim Rash, Oscar-winning screenwriter Jim Rash.
Hell yeah.
There was a lot of great moments in this movie, and it really, I thought, represented a lot of what I see, and I think what a lot of other people see, which is there is factionalism, even in LGBTQ communities. No, he was bi. No, he was lesbian. No, he's non-binary. It's a lot of effort to put titles on things. I think this was a sort of repudiation of the need for that, which is, it is an authentic love story. Yeah, sure, it's gay in nature, but it's more authentic than anything. It's not written like a bunch of characters who fall in love with each other. It's written like real people, and they happen to be gay.
Yeah, but I think what you talk about with this subverting expectations and, maybe going against a lot of romantic comedy tropes,
especially Brokeback Mountain. They even do a direct hit on that one.
Well, that was
what, straight actors playing gay?
Yeah, that was directed on Power of the Dog and a side hit on Brokeback.
That was definitely a
hit on Brokeback.
No. He literally says Benedict Cumberbatch get an Oscar.
Well, there was the Benedict Cumberbatch.
But they
that was
mentioned
a-
Brokeback
talking
Mountain twice.
Closeted
Yeah.
cowboy. Like he says cowboy. He doesn't say like it just. I mean,
The
obviously,
movie, the fake movie they were talking about is definitely Brokeback
it
Mountain.
is
There's-
100% Power of the Dog. I'm sorry.
They say
quick
the
vote here.
name
Quick
Brokeback
Unqualified
Mountain.
Filmbros
Oh my
official
gosh.
vote. Raise your hand. If
Vote
you
in
think
the
it was based
comments.
on the Power of the Dog. Raise your hand. Power of the Dog.
Like literally, it's literally Power.
Okay, raise
I
your hand.
literally
Brokeback
love
Mountain.
the Power of the Dog. It's
Oh.
not based on that.
Wow, you're all wrong. Like you are literally all wrong.
Hey, go tweet Billy
To be
Eichner.
fair,
I will,
Deqlin is the one who's seen this the most recently.
yeah.
So maybe
yeah.
I mean I saw it like 2
just
weeks
watched
ago.
this.
No, I saw it this morning. So
I
Wait,
literally
Okay, well,
watched
I
it.
saw it like 2
2
weeks
hours
ago.
ago.
So I guess I'll abstain from the vote now after I've already
No.
voted.
I watched it 2
No.
hours ago. I've got my friend in here. He's hanging with my dog. He knew that it was Brokeback Mountain. So
He's literally like, he references Benedict Cumberbatch.
yeah, he references Benedict Cumberbatch as like an example, but he also is talking about two actors trying to get their Oscar nods, aka Jake Gyllenhaal.
he
And
literally says Brokeback Mountain. Like
Yeah,
that's
he
in the
does.
film.
Yeah.
But it's a new movie, like recent. It's about like closeted frontier cowboys. He references Benedict Cumberbatch. Obviously, it's like an open genre, but
I'm
it's
sorry,
clearly
but
Power
they're
of the
not
Dog.
cowboys. They're not cowboys, Declan.
What are you talking about? Wait. No. I'm talking about in Power of the Dog.
I know the Power of the Dog. They're not cowboys.
The rancher. Yeah, they're clearly not inspired by mythos of cowboys because their job is ranching rather than cowboy.
Well, one of them is not a rancher. He's
Oh my
going
God.
to grow up
Get
to be
your-
a
get your
medical
dick out of
person.
here. If they're clearly cowboys,
They're clearly adults in the picture.
What kind
All
of
right, this has
cowboy-
gone on long enough.
But also, to be fair, and to that point though,
Mhm.
Brokeback Mountain has gotten far more flack for portraying straight actors as gay than The Power of the Dog has. It has a much longer history than The Power of the Dog does.
That's true.
That doesn't.
Can I just
Power of
say
the
that
Dog- doesn't
it's-
still apply to Power of the? Are you,
It applies to the Power of the Dog.
They were referencing Brokeback Mountain though.
They
So
were
They were
Yeah.
definitely
Fine,
referencing.
it's
fine.
100%
There-
Brokeback Mountain.
it was so nice. When was the last time?
I will tweet at.
Declan, you got outvoted.
I am not kidding. You guys are both so wrong.
Outvoted.
Both, all
Ratio.
three of us say that you're wrong.
I'm gonna talk to Billy
Dumb.
Eichner.
This is dumb. Okay. At the very least, Guardians 2, it's our opinions. of a
Okay,
film-
we're
film
talking
in
about
terms of
Guardians
stupid-ass
2 now.
arguments. This is like.
All right,
This is
All right,
stupid.
and
Anyway.
scene.
Yeah.
back to the film at hand.
Okay, so we're talking about Bros.
Hmm.
Ben said my line earlier, and he's already said what he thinks. We're already like
Brokeback
15
Mountain,
minutes into
wasn't
this.
That's fine.
So Declan and Max, what did you
Yes.
guys think just in an overall sense of this movie?
So the thing is, I thought it was well made, but I didn't actually laugh that much in it. I think that's honestly my biggest problem. Like, I feel like it was a well-written movie. Like, I like the characters, but like, there were a couple, there were many moments that were like humorous, but at no point did I like actually laugh at it. I mean, maybe I just wasn't with the right like type of audience seeing it or something. I don't know.
Declan, I have
That's
to ask
fine.
an honest question. Are you homophobic?
No.
Look, we're not trying to
Anyway, I
get
think
canceled
it's-
here, Ben.
Mhm. I'm gonna be honest with you
Not
guys.
like- What is it, Deborah
I think
Messing?
homophobia is bad. I think discriminating against gay people or trans people or bi people or all sorts of people on who express their gender identity differently is actually bad. You know, I know that's
But just not their
controversial
movies.
here,
I
this
get it.
group of four cis heterosexual men. I know it's a controversial statement, but that's where I'm at. You know.
I mean, I
Okay.
agree with you. It was,
Okay, yeah, discrimination against them is
I-
bad.
discrimination is
Maybe
bad,
the
guys.
sarcasm wasn't clear. I hope I'm not. I'm not. You don't think I actually think that?
No, we don't. But
Okay, yeah, Max, go ahead.
I mean, I actually kind of I get where you're coming from, though, Declan. Of it was humorous, but it wasn't like laugh out loud funny. But to me, I actually thought that made it feel more realistic.
That's fair.
Like, when you're texting and you say LOL or LMAO, like you're not actually doing those things. It is humorous.
Your
You find
ass
it
is still
amusing.
firmly on your body,
Yeah, exactly.
laughing my ass off.
Um,
No, you are not.
No, you're not. But that's my point, right? Is that it has, I feel like it has a longer shelf life of being an amusing film, a humorous film, if you're not constantly, look, I'm not saying that laughing is a bad thing, but that I think that makes it just a little bit different, and that it does lend itself to a little bit of it's genuine. It's like a very real emotion and reaction to what is happening on screen.
I
And the
will-
writing.
I
I'll tell
think
you this. I got my friend here, and we were both watching it, and I think we were laughing very much during some parts. I think it's written very well. I mean, it's not really like it's not dumb humor. It's
No,
very
no.
witty
Mhm.
humor. It's written very well. Like, I mean, come on, Harvey Milk Duds. How are you not
Yeah,
gonna laugh at that?
Oh, yeah, like that, like that's hilarious, you know.
Well, yeah, but you just said that there were no moments that you laughed at. There were so many moments where I was watching this, and I was like, that is very clever.
Like this style of humor for me, I maybe is just like not like my go-to. Well, no, I love witty humor. I felt like everything was like a yes, that is humorous kind of thing, and not like
Yeah, but
this is
do
really
you find
like,
Monty Python funny? I mean, do you
yeah,
not?
yeah, exactly. No,
Ah.
Monty, like Monty Python is a good example of like balancing like highbrow and act and like funny, and all that. And I mean, like I'm not
What's
I'm not trying to like
difference?
dismiss it. It's different. It's different. That's how it goes. I felt like the director of this also directed Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Is that correct?
yes.
Yes,
Okay,
and
yeah.
I thought
Forgetting
that this
Sarah Marshall,
way better than Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and I think it was written much better.
Forgetting Sarah
I
Marshall
know
is
George likes this movie, but
is one of my, we'll call it top 50 movies. I've seen
But we're comparing apples
900
and
movies in my
oranges.
life, but it is apples
I'm
and oranges.
like this Forgetting Sarah Marshall is a very traditional
they're
rom-com,
very
right?
different films.
That's-
I
It's a
think
different film,
that's-
and then this is just different, and that's great. It's new voices. It's a new way to look at romance. It's a new way to look at rom-coms, because it hasn't typically been portrayed this way. And I mean, I hope it accurately. I don't know, but it feels genuine.
I
That's
will
great.
agree that
Yeah,
I found it to be a refreshing take on romantic comedies. I enjoyed the film by and large. Several
it's-
moments,
it's a satire of
several
rom-
moments. Exactly. It's a satire of rom-coms. The only issue I see with its pointed humor about how, you see Bobby throughout the film, Billy Eichner's character, you see him sort of try to go against the romantic comedy instinct that the film may have, and it works for his character, it works for the plot. The only issue that I take with it is that it still follows romantic comedy structure. Guy
actually
meets guy, guy dates guy, guy loses guy, guy gets guy back.
But it doesn't follow a structure. I checked, and I was talking to my friend about this. In every rom-com, in the middle of a film, you lose. You lose the person, and the relationship has to be stitched up. But in this film, there's something very interesting. Whereas they never truly enter a relationship. Normally, you have a full-on relationship, but they never truly get into a relationship. You sort of have this relationship, but it's not the dynamic that you're used to seeing. And the breakup happens 30 minutes before the end of the movie.
You know what other movie doesn't have a traditional relationship for most of the film, gets into a
Don't know.
relationship right before
Avatar.
it's broken up, and then
Avatar.
they get back together at the end of the film?
Avatar.
Forgetting Sarah fucking Marshall.
Yeah, but I will tell you, George, I think this movie is phenomenally well written, and I think Forgetting Sarah Marshall is only well written. It's a well written movie, but this movie's written better.
I think the
respect it.
structures can
I
be the
respect
same
that.
too.
I
Like, it
disagree,
can
but I
fo-
respect it.
it can follow the same structure as a traditional rom-com or like a classic
Yeah.
rom-com, but it's still a very different film.
I think think Eichner, and I like this is like a good thing, credit for him. I feel like he was trying to like portray portray using like the romantic comedy formula, but trying to include what he feel like a standard queer relationship like would go through, kind of at the very or like an exaggeration.
I really don't think that was the case. I think honestly, this is
like how
this-
like I just as an example, like before you disagree with me, like the that's not a dig. That's genuinely
Declan's calling his shot.
holy moly.
No,
Benji's catching strays over here.
He's figured it out.
when like the fact that like they start like everyone like is like hooking up on Grindr all the time
Oh, yeah,
with, like,
yeah.
other random people. I feel like I obviously I don't think Billy Eichner is saying all gay people literally do that, but I think he's sort of like, you know, doing this exaggerated parody of that trend, kind of. And so that starts both of them off in kind of a different place from where like standard romantic comedy protagonists are.
Yeah, but
we're all.
I thought
Go
that
ahead.
my first instinct, sorry, Max,
No, you're fine.
is just when I was watching this, yes, it is talking about how like, oh yeah, gay people are different, queer people are different, all the different factions in between, you know, LGBTQ, they're all different types of people. But the heart of it all is like, it's a more authentic romance story. Yeah, everybody, there's hookup culture. There's so many people who are unable to get into relationships. It's just a more authentic rom-com. Plenty of moments in there I was like, oh yeah, this reminds me of like a dating app or whatever. I mean, plenty of people can relate to this, even if they're not gay. There's that, yeah, there's plenty of horny single people out there. Okay, that's
Yeah,
not
this-
unique to
Every
any.
Yeah.
single time.
This
websites
movie
ask
takes
I was
technology, there's so many in my area.
And I have to be honest, it's more than just attempting to
Chill.
like show at, you know, the sort of the gay perspective, queer perspective, whatever you want to call it. It's more tempting to just show honest perspective. Yeah, people don't just fall in love and it's like, oh yeah, I saw you at this club, and it's like, well, you know, and then they go on this romantic adventure and have these unrealistic, you know, outings, and then, you know, they fall in love for whatever reason in the middle of the movie, as I said, that it happens at the very
Yeah.
end, and it's more appropriate, which is that these people are nervous about getting into a relationship. They're never actually in the relationship. This is not a relationship that breaks. It's a relationship that never really starts, and then it starts at the end of the movie.
Yeah, that's
I
a
never
great
thought
point.
This
I
movie.
was-
Sorry, I'm
go
just
ahead.
gonna go real quick. This movie, for what it does in telling its story, is a really authentic take on modern dating. And
Yeah.
yes, it uses a gay relationship as a lens. But Ben, what you said about, you know, this reminds me of a dating app, this reminds me of, you know, hookup culture. That's what they're trying to show through this movie. And that's what type of romantic comedy I think they were really trying to tell.
Yeah,
It's more
100%.
real.
I mean, they like at the end of the day, we did kind of stray a little bit from the main point of the film, which is like these are real people. Like the writing has written real people. Like these are people that you
Yeah.
could meet on a street and you would never know who they are, but in the film you recognize them as real people. This is like a portrayal of a real person. And
Really on the street joke we could make there, but I
Well,
won't.
No.
to your point, Declan, Billy Eichner's character, Bobby, is basically a fictionalized version of Billy Eichner. There's not a lot of, you know, I love his performance here and I love what he's done with his career. He's one of my favorite performers. He's playing himself in the
And-
film.
And there
And I
was
love
the
that.
moment. There was the
But-
moment that my friend and I thought about, which was the moment on the beach where he's talking about all the people that passed him by, and like his drama teacher. And I was like, this is definitely very personal.
Yeah.
When he was telling about all that stuff.
That definitely felt like the use this monologue in auditions scene. You know, it's very well done.
It
very
just seemed
well
like
written.
it was an honest like expression of he's pent up, whatever.
Very much so.
I think
Emotions.
one of the strengths of this film, beyond the story and beyond the main character and the writing, is the supporting cast. And I think what's really important about the work that this film has done in the industry just over the last month since it premiered is that it gave a platform, and it maybe serves as a stepping stone for the careers of queer actors who maybe wouldn't have gotten a chance to make their mark in the industry 10, 20 years ago. Take a guy like Luke McFarlane, who plays Aaron. The guy's been acting in Hallmark movies, Lifetime movies, sort of outside the mainstream
Which is really
for
funny.
his whole career. And he turns in a great performance here in a
which
major
is
movie.
ironic if you think about it, because Hallmark is the epitome of the most like unrealistic, romance, rom-coms, whatever. And this is a very authentic performance for him, for everyone. And honestly, like, given his demeanor in the original, in the early part of the film, he really does seem like that typical like rom-com figure, and he sort of has to break that shell. So it adds a little bit of nuance to it.
Yeah, I think he just does a fantastic job. He meets Billy Eichner moment for moment. There's an authenticity, a realness to his character and how he approaches the relationship. At first he's still hooking up with other guys. He doesn't want anything too serious. He treats the meeting of his parents, and when Bobby first meets his parents and he gets into it with his mom, Bobby gets into it with Aaron's mom. I think what we see is a really genuine performance that delivers the truth of the character. And if you look at historic portrayals of gay characters, whether it's by gay actors or straight actors, we don't really see a lot of it, at least to the extent that we do here. And something Billy Eichner said during the press junket for this film, that queer characters have often been tragic, or I don't want to say slapsticky, but like sort of pushed off to the
Extra.
side comic relief. There's really been no middle ground for them to really just be shown as people in modern Hollywood, or in Hollywood at all. And so what this film does is, it, as I said before, it gives that, it lends itself to a community of creative people who now have this as a very strong basis to build careers, to build voices, and make more movies like this.
I mean, like I said in the beginning, I mean, there's a lot of focus on all these adjectives and titles and groupings for people, when in reality it's like, what do they call them, a cis white gay man or something. It's like most nonsense.
Yeah, like, or like.
But it's like, yeah, you just
best
strings together a bunch of
gay
stuff.
man of the year. Like, I think that's what it's.
But at the end of the day, everyone's just a person. I think all that sarcasm surrounding that stuff is to sort of, I mean, in some ways, yeah, criticize that culture, which is like, what's the point of this? But also just sort of show everyone is whatever they identify as, whatever they have a preference for. They're just people. You can put up as many adjectives in front of them as possible, but they're people. They're no different.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing, is like, yeah, you can put all these names, you can be bi, you can be whatever, but at the end of the day, they're just people. And I think that was the best thing about this movie, is it is a repudiation of what you would expect from a gay rom-com, film. You'd expect a lot of, yeah, there is gay culture and stuff, but it is more authentic.
Gay
It's not
culture
like,
does make up a big portion of the film.
but it is
Bobby
not,
works for the LGBTQ museum.
Yeah, but it's not forced. Like not everyone. Like Aaron is a great example of someone who's like, who is gay, who is into some of that stuff, who likes to make little chocolates, but he doesn't fit like the stereotypes.
It's not portraying gay culture as monolithic, sort of what you mean.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
definitely not monolithic. It's just like, yeah, there are some people like that out there. Some people,
But that's what we've got. But that's
it's just
it's important because
people.
that's what we've gotten, right? Like what we've
Yeah.
gotten is the stereotypes.
Yeah,
What we've
and sure,
gotten is the
some of them do
monolith, which
follow
is
them,
inaccurate.
but that's not all they are. Is the big thing, and I think it's refreshing. It's authentic, and this is what I would want to see from a movie like this. And also, as I said, the writing is very sharp. It's sharper than a lot of comedies I've seen in a long time. And yeah, it happens to be a gay film about gay romance, but the writing is very sharp, and I think that is in itself is probably worthy enough to go and watch it, even if you're not into I hate romance films. I hate rom. I thought the film was very good.
So here's a question that I don't believe I've ever asked on the Unqualified Filmbros podcast.
Oh boy.
This is to all of you. You all get a chance to answer. I'll answer myself after you've all gone. What was your favorite scene?
I know what my favorite scene is.
Well, then Deqlin, why don't you go first?
I like, it's the scene where Bobby takes steroids and then runs into the museum on roid rage when the Lincoln monument when the Lincoln exhibit is being shut down.
Of course, it would be about
yeah,
Lincoln.
like obviously, like that's like that's what I realized, like that's why I'm gonna have to go with, because
It's reminded of you with roid rage when
I love hearing
Lincoln the film came out.
Oh, he was bi, which I love that, just that I'm gonna have to go with that as my favorite scene. I wish I could say it was one of the many other great scenes, like the opening comic podcast or something like that. But no,
Well, Deqlin, I'll have you know that my favorite scene of Lincoln is when Billy Eichner runs in on roid rage and starts complaining about the length of the play at the Ford's Theater.
Hell yes. that's I mean, I can't wait to talk about that when I finally host the episode of the podcast.
That day is never coming. We're stringing you along.
If you win.
Yeah, we're gonna do everything we can to make sure that you don't win.
I'm going to be hosting the next episode of Funky Film Reviews, and I'm going to give myself the win. I'm not even going to play, and I'm going to win.
You're gonna mute me and then be like, Deqlin, I can't.
Declan, you can't answer. I can't. What? Huh?
I can't mute me.
So, Max, Ben, what were your favorite scenes?
I liked the scenes in the club where he would just disappear. I thought that was funny because you think at first, like as it progresses, that it's he's just leaving because he's uninterested, but it ends up being kind of sweet, very realistic. No, I just got nervous. I just got scared. I didn't know what to do, so I left. I like that.
It was a good
It's
subversion of
yeah.
expectations.
Yeah.
Because in a traditional rom-com, that scene ends differently.
Yeah.
That scene ends with the two of them looking at each other in the club, cut to the next morning in bed.
Yeah,
Or
gotta
cut
say,
to later in one of their apartments.
my
and then making
favorite
out.
scene is probably it's sort of mixed for me because it was very shocking, just like visually. But the scene where they see each other, and then they're walking in. Bobby's going inside, and then Aaron's like, Bobby, and then they cut to them on a couch, naked, and it's like, oh yeah, they got together, and then you zoom out, and you have the other two guys, which is
that was a pretty great cut as well.
it is very well written, and that like they clearly know what they're doing, but also it was a very clever cut, very well directed. That it works perfectly on the couch. but then you zoom out and you see the rest of the shot with everything else that you've been giving it. It's very, very clever, very smart.
Oh, I should also just throw a quick, or no, sorry, you say your favorite scene first, George.
Yeah, mine's sort of similar to Ben's. It's another group hookup scene. But when you get the extra character whose name escapes me right now, Steve, who's just trying to work in. He's trying to find a way. He's trying to find an angle to get involved, and he just can't. Right, they don't like, they're not excluding him because he's in the room and he's, actively trying to participate. He's just not getting a window. And I thought that was, like Ben said about the quick cut to Aaron and Bobby expanding to the other two guys. I thought that scene was a great example of this film sort of smashing down the expectation where, they're not, all gonna hook up together. There's this one guy, Steve, who just can't make it.
Yeah.
And
because normally
that scene killed
everybody
me in the
gets
theater.
together.
It was so funny.
Normally it's like a perfect thing where it's like everyone's making out, no one's left out, and then there's this awkward like, oh, there's three people and there was sort of in there, and then there's this one guy out there. He's like, let me just get in there.
Trying to climb over. He's trying to get underarms.
But yeah, no, I agree. It's a great scene.
The other scene that I have to give credit for because it caught me off guard was when Ben Stiller suddenly appeared as a hologram.
Yeah, let's talk about the cameos.
Yeah. Hey,
Ben Stiller was a great one. You had Keenan. You had Keenan and Amy Schumer and Seth Rogen playing gay icons. Seth Meyers. I'm sorry. Wow. Freudian slip there. Yeah, Seth Meyers was playing Harvey Milk.
Yes. Yeah.
You had Harvey Firestein was in one of the scenes. Bowen Yang from SNL was there.
In Deborah Messing.
Oh yeah, Deborah.
Yeah,
let's talk about Deborah Messing for a second because
she's tired of gay people's shit.
Yeah.
Essentially it, yeah.
I am a divorced mother. Do I literally just tell you all of my shit unprompted?
Deqlin, why do I get the feeling you laughed more in the theater than you let on? Because you're cracking up right now.
I mean, it was
He's laughing at himself telling the jokes.
Don't get me wrong. It's like I am not trying to imply the film was
He didn't like the
funny.
delivery.
I'm just saying,
so
like
himself.
I was a little sad that I wasn't laughing every minute like I do when I watch Airplane and all that. I mean,
it's not a slapstick.
Like you do when you watch.
Every
Wait,
30 seconds.
You were upset that you weren't laughing every scene like you do when you watch Lincoln or Guardians 2?
That's true. I do watch Lincoln
Fun
for
fact.
Fun
fact, Deqlin laughs at the end of Lincoln too.
That's his favorite part, actually.
I laugh at like Spielberg. This good thing. Why are you so inaugural speech? Like this is so weird. This is this is so funny, Spielberg. No, give me the real ending. No, but anyway, like that was a joke. Anyway, so no. But it's like I mean, again, it was like humorous and well done. I just I felt like I didn't laugh as much at it.
And Deborah Messing plays a huge role in the comedic impact of the second act because you sort of, I don't want to say you get the straight perspective through her character because that's not really what she's there for. What you do get is, again, another subversion of expectations where she's not her character from Will and Grace. She is a real person who has real life,
I think it's also
things that she has to deal with.
I think it's also the reverse of like, we're looking at gay people as authentic human beings and like authentic romances. You're also looking at personalities like her as authentic, like they're human beings. They don't want to just be compounded with everyone's worst, like, dates and like everything all at once. Every
You
time
say that, but then we get a Ben Stiller hologram at the end of the movie.
Well, you also get the scene
Larry
with
Daly.
you get the scene with Aaron with his brother, which is like, I'm going through a divorce. I'm literally staying with you because I'm divorcing my wife, and you haven't asked me once how I'm doing.
And then it's like, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, no,
I don't want to talk about that.
it's a fair reverse, which is like, yeah, well, he probably doesn't want to talk about, but you didn't even ask. It's like you have to give everyone the authentic. You are a person.
There's another movie. There's another movie in this universe focusing on Aaron's brother, and that conversation is the only overlap to that movie, whatever it is. Aaron's brother going through a divorce. That's the story of his movie.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about that movie. We're talking about Bros. So
I think we already did.
Yeah, we've spent the last 35 minutes talking about Bros. But yeah, you guys want to get into some final thoughts? I feel like we've had a lot to say about this one.
I pretty much said what I need to. I thought it was very well written. It was great, fresh comedy. And yeah, it does happen to involve gay people, but overall, I think it's a more authentic, fresh, new comedy than I've seen in a long time. At least within the past few years. Most of the stuff that comes out, some of it's funny, but a lot of the comedies I think are formulaic. This one is not. It really is based around a human experience, and that's very different for Hollywood, at least these days. So, yeah, I liked it. It's great film.
Max, you go next.
Okay.
We're trying to work you around so you're not always going last.
That's
yeah,
true.
I mean, I think, like I said, it's such a different take on a rom-com, and I actually do like rom-coms, Ben. I think they're fun. I mean, I don't.
Well, yeah,
think
but
that
I
they're-
like this
don't think
movie and I
they're-
hate rom-coms, so
I
that
know,
should say
I'm kidding.
something.
I just think it's a great story, right? It's a lot of fun. Is it the best movie? No, but it's well written, it's well acted, and it's a great story. And so I do recommend you go see this film.
Declan.
You know what I realized? This is the actual good comparison I want to make out there. Bear with me. Like I feel like this film and Hot Fuzz are both maybe different levels, but exceptionally well written and well made films with great performances and great characters in it. In Hot Fuzz, I did also laugh a number of times while watching it. While in Bros, I didn't laugh as nearly as much. But both are still good, but it's just indicative of that one element being not as strong as I like it. But still, it does still get my recommendation.
I think that was a hate crime.
When you tweet, no, guys, let me please. Declan, when you tweeted Billy Eichner asking him why he referenced Brokeback Mountain instead of The Power of the Dog, please tell him that you made the comparison between his film and Hot Fuzz.
I would you realize Hot Fuzz is literally like everyone in there is a caricature. They're supposed to be unrealistic human.
Yes,
I've just been praising this movie for its authenticity.
I'm using it as a purely not in terms of thematic.
I get the idea, which is that they both make their respective genres. But I did that's funny.
Yes, exactly. Like they both it's a distant comparison.
I get the idea. I definitely see it.
All right, George, final thoughts.
Yeah, I'll take us home here. I think what this movie gets a lot of its strength from is what we've been talking about all night, and that's the authenticity. It's a real story. You've got someone who works in a real job. You've got someone who is maybe not open to relationships, and they're finding each other in a very organic way. And I think that there's a way that this story could be told where it's lesser for trying to do stuff like that, but this movie goes for it and it accomplishes what it wants to do. Now, it could have followed, and I was saying this before we started recording, it could have followed a more traditional romantic comedy style. You still hit the, you know, the major generalization beats of a romantic comedy where, you know, there's going to be a problem with budding relationship and then they're going to reconcile. But there's, you know, you could tell the story of Forgetting Sarah Marshall, just because we've been talking about it, it's the first thing that comes to mind. You could tell that story, but with a gay relationship, and it would be a gay romantic comedy. This is a movie about the gay experience told through the lens of a romantic comedy. And I think that really makes it work. Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I'm glad to hear everyone except Deqlin enjoyed it as much as I did. Um,
Yeah,
I'm
fuck
just,
you, Deqlin.
you know what? You know, that was a cheap shot. I'm sorry. Maybe it's just the references to Brokeback Mountain that really got me.
I was heated.
Yeah, I was gonna say earlier, it's been a while since Max and I sort of sat back and let Ben and Deqlin go at each other a whole week.
I'm gonna have to tweet Billy Eichner. Make sure we really pounded it to Deqlin.
Yeah.
Imagine he tweets back and it's like, yeah, it's actually Power of the Dog.
No, he's gonna say
He'll have to
he's gonna
apologize.
say it's a reference to a third movie that we haven't even talked about tonight.
Yeah.
It's a reference to Lawnmower Man.
Yes. Oh,
On
sorry.
that note, yeah, we're gonna be back next week. We're gonna do another review again. We got a lot of movies coming out October, November, December. I think Black Adam's on the schedule for next week.
That sounds
Yeah.
great.
So we're gonna get to that one. Ben's gonna host in a couple weeks. Max is gonna host in a couple weeks. Declan's gonna host in a couple of weeks. So we're gonna throw it around a little bit. And in the meantime, you know our thoughts on Bros. We want to hear yours. It's currently playing in movie theaters. Should be available on digital fairly soon. It's been out for almost a month.
You can rent it for $20.
You can rent it for $20. It's available on digital now. Shows what I know. I should rent it.
You can buy it for $25, so up to you. You're gonna watch it twice.
I mean, you could also
Ben's
watch
making
it
a
twice.
pitch. All right, we will see you for the next entry in the DC Extended Universe next Friday. Have a good night. Enjoy the weekend.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.